My neighbor was so angry. She spent thousands on a land survey just to prove I was on her property. Turns out the survey proved her wrong. She actually lost 5 feet of her own yard. And that's when she completely lost her mind. Welcome to Lawn and Order, where bad neighbors meet good karma. Today's story takes place in a quiet American suburb where a woman's peaceful life turned into a full-blown neighborhood war, all because of 5 feet of grass. When my husband and I first moved into our home in 2018, everything felt perfect. Our driveway sat right next to an older woman's backyard. She seemed nice enough at first, in her late 60s or maybe 70s, polite, a little distant, but never rude. We thought the property line ran just a few feet past the edge of our driveway, so when we mowed, we'd just go a little beyond our driveway line, about 2.5 more widths. For years, there was never a problem, but that peace didn't last. Around 2020, her husband passed away. After that, she was never the same. She hired a lawn care service. At first, we didn't think much of it, but soon they started using our driveway to get into her yard. Our bedroom is right next to that driveway, and every week at 7 a.m., we'd wake up to the sound of a loud mower just 10 feet from our window. One morning, my husband had enough. He went outside and saw this kid riding his lawnmower up and down our driveway like it was a public road. He stopped him and said, "Hey, this is my driveway. You can't use it to get to her yard. Please go around." The kid looked embarrassed and apologized. He turned the mower around and left. We thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. That day flipped a switch inside her, and nothing was the same after that. Ever since then, she's had it out for us. A year later, my teenage son was outside raking leaves. Suddenly, the neighbor came out yelling, saying the leaves were on her lawn. He tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen. Then one day, I saw her outside picking up sticks, clearly struggling to bend over. I felt bad, so I called over. "Hey, missus, you want some help?" She didn't even look at me. I asked again, louder. Finally, she snapped, "No!" A mean, angry "No!" A few months later, my husband was washing out our trash can and dumped the water near the street, on our side. She came out screaming, "You're ruining my lawn!" He stood his ground and told her, "I'm not a kid you can yell at. Leave me alone." A week later, she did something no one expected. She hired a professional surveyor, paid thousands of dollars, just to prove that we were crossing onto her land. We stood there, holding our breath, waiting to hear who was right. The surveyor's face said it all before he even spoke. Turns out, her land actually ends on the other side of the telephone pole. She didn't gain anything. She lost 5 feet of her lawn. She wasn't just wrong, she was 5 feet wrong. We couldn't help but laugh, but she wasn't laughing. After the land survey proved her wrong, my neighbor completely lost it. The moment she realized she had paid thousands of dollars only to find out she lost 5 feet of her own lawn, she went silent for about 5 seconds. Then she exploded. She started yelling right there in front of the surveyors, calling them scammers, saying their equipment was broken, that someone must have paid them off. The poor guys looked so uncomfortable, they just packed up their tools and left. When she turned toward me, her face was red. "You'll regret this," she shouted. I didn't even say anything. I just walked back into my house and closed the door. But I knew this wasn't over. Over the next few weeks, she tried everything to make my life miserable. It started small. She would blow her leaves onto my driveway. She'd leave her garbage cans leaning halfway into my yard. Once, she even parked her car just close enough to block part of my mailbox. I ignored it all. But when I woke up one morning and saw that someone had thrown bird seed all over my car and about a dozen pigeons were sitting on top of it, I knew exactly who had done it. That was the day I decided to fight back. I didn't want to sink to her level, but I did believe in karma, and sometimes karma needs a little help. I decided to be polite. Too polite. Every time she was outside, I waved and smiled like nothing was wrong. When she scowled, I'd cheerfully say, "Good morning." You could almost see the steam coming out of her ears. Then I started mowing my new extra 5 feet of lawn, the part the survey had proved was mine. I made sure to do it while she was sitting on her porch. I'd hum a happy tune while mowing, and she'd just sit there, glaring. It was beautiful. A few days later, I decided to fix the fence that separated our yards. Since the new property line was officially marked, I moved the fence over those 5 feet, right where it legally belonged. The day the workers came to shift it, she came running out, waving her arms, screaming, "You can't do that!" I calmly handed her a copy of the survey. "Actually," I said, "I can." Her jaw literally dropped. She stormed into her house and slammed the door so hard that her front window rattled. For a few days, things were quiet. Too quiet. Then one night, around 10 p.m., I heard a loud noise outside. I looked through the blinds, and there she was. She was standing near the new fence line with a flashlight and a measuring tape. I stepped outside. "Everything okay over there?" I asked. She jumped. "I'm checking your fence," she snapped. "Well," I said, "it's in the right spot, 5 feet back, just like the survey said." She muttered something and stomped back inside. That night, I decided to install a small security camera on the back of my house. It turned out to be one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. A week later, I checked the camera footage. At 2 a.m., my neighbor was caught on video, dumping trash over the fence. Old food, plastic bags, even cat litter. So I printed out a few screenshots from the footage and left a friendly note on her door. "Hey, looks like you dropped something in my yard by accident. Don't worry, I picked it up for you." And I taped the pictures to the note. The next day, the garbage stopped, but she made one last desperate move. Our neighborhood had an HOA, and she was friends with one of the board members. Suddenly, I started getting letters. "Your lawn edging is not uniform. Your fence color appears non-standard." It was clear who was behind it. I responded to each one with calm, polite emails, and each time I attached the property survey. Then I filed a formal complaint against her, attaching photos of the trash dumping and her own HOA violations. A month later, the HOA held a hearing. She showed up in full rage mode, yelling at the board, saying I had lied. But when the board saw the evidence, the video clips, the photos, the survey, their faces said it all. They fined her instead. She had to pay for the damages, plus an additional penalty. And that was the day I saw her for the last time. Within a few weeks, her for sale sign went up. Word spread around the neighborhood fast. She couldn't handle the embarrassment. One morning, I woke up to the sound of a moving truck. She was gone. I walked out to my backyard, looked at my perfectly straight fence, and smiled. It was peaceful. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's just peace and a little karma doing its job. If you've ever had a nightmare neighbor, you know exactly how this feels. And if you believe that karma always finds a way, then hit that subscribe button right now. Here on Law & Order, we share real stories of neighbors from hell getting the justice they deserve. So stay tuned, because the next story might just be crazier than this one. And remember, good fences make good neighbors, but karma makes great stories.